Hi, welcome everyone. I'm sitting down with Modestas, the Baltic Gladiator Bukauskas, former Cage Warriors light heavyweight champion and current UFC fighter. He's set to fight Michal Oleksiejczuk at UFC 260, tongue twister. Headlined by Stipe Miocic versus Francis Ngannou. How are you, sir?
Yeah, doing very well, thank you.
I apologize for getting your opponent's name wrong. I got it right a second ago, and then that's a brutal name to.
It's a hard one to pronounce. I think most seasoned.
All the consonant letters put together.
Yeah. No, that's it. It's like I believe it's pronounced Oleksiejczuk, but to be fair, most of my training partners are Polish, so I've been getting the hints from them on how to pronounce it properly.
I know a lot of these Polish fighters have such long names. So, tell me about your next fight. You're going to be facing Polish light heavyweight Michal at UFC 260. How do you feel about this matchup?
I feel very confident going into this matchup. Um, I still feel, after my last fight, it kind of wasn't a showing of my of 100% of my abilities, which I was quite disappointed in myself about. But at the end of the day, you like John Kavanagh would say, win or learn, and I learned a hell of a lot from that defeat. And it's just making me fight a bit more like my old school self, just bring a bit more of that flamboyance back, like doing certain things. And I feel very confident going into this fight. He's a very good fighter. Obviously, very good pressure fighter, got heavy hands and everything, but I believe I have all the tools and skill set and the game plan needed to go out and finish my man.
Right, and I noticed that there's a noticeable height and reach advantage. Like in height, you've got 3 inches on him. Reach advantage, you've got 4 inches between the two of you. Do you think that is something that you're going to exploit and might feed into your game plan without giving your game plan for the fight? Do you reckon it feeds into your game plan a little bit?
Oh yeah, I definitely think so because it means that any one of my punches are going to be I'm going to be beating him to that punch. But and we're fighting in Vegas, so it's in the smaller cage and stuff like that. So I feel like there's a lot of factors that are coming, sort of towards my advantage. But yeah, man. Like I say, at the end of the day, you still got to be able to find the correct timing and distancing and stuff like that to land your strikes. But I definitely feel that'll play towards me for sure.
Now, it's interesting that you dropped that it's in Las Vegas. It actually hasn't been confirmed yet. It's still to be decided. Did they tell you that it's Las Vegas, or is that what you just?
I believe it will be Las Vegas. That's what I'm thinking. Obviously, yeah, it hasn't been confirmed yet, but I'm pretty sure if I think all the most of the previous events are going to be in Vegas. So, I mean, they might announce something different, like sort of later on in time, because I know that they usually don't tell you about all the details and everything till about a couple of weeks beforehand. So, but in my professional guess, I'm thinking it's going to be the Apex.
Right, that's fair. But do you really care at this point? Do you care if it's UFC Apex, or do you care if you're taking a trip to the UFC Fight Island?
Listen, I would love to fight wherever the hell they want to put it. To be honest, fighting in any sort of UFC event is an absolute honor and a pleasure. And I just love the whole vibe. I mean, if we get to go to America, that's amazing. That's amazing. And like I said, that would be like my first fight on American soil. So I mean, but yeah, to be honest, as long as I'm stepping in the UFC octagon, obviously nothing else matters. I just want to go out there and show my skill set to the world.
Yeah, that's fair. Now, you and your opponent, you actually have a common former opponent, Australian Jimmy Crute. That seems to be that your last fight and his last fight were against Jimmy Crute. Was there anything that you could, when you compare your performance a bit against Crute and Michal's performance against Crute, is there anything that you picked apart about his performance and something that, some of his skills that weren't quite up to par with yours?
Well, one thing is obviously the takedown defense. Obviously, in that particular fight, he wasn't really looking much towards defending a takedown. He was expecting more of a brawl, and then that's what sort of played into Jimmy Crute's favor. Whereas in my fight, he shot in quite a deep takedown, and I was able to defend it because I've been working quite a lot on that. So the areas where I got I got beat sort of like it went vice versa with his fight. So, you know, Michal got overtaken with the wrestling, whereas I got overtaken with sort of the striking and timing and accuracy. I couldn't really find my distancing and range in that fight for some reason. And then next thing you know, obviously he'd been practicing that one shot pretty much, he said, for a while. And then that was the one that ended up connecting. So there was different tactics used to fight me and Michal. But I believe if he would have got that takedown, it would have been sort of a similar game plan to try and take me out in that fight. But like I say, obviously Michal probably will have been working on those sort of things. But either way, I'm ready for whatever he has to throw at me. And at the end of the day, he's got to have to deal with whatever I throw at him. And of that, there's going to be many things that I will throw at him.
Yeah, well, you spoke about his skills, especially his power. Without giving away your game plan, what's your strategy coming into this fight? Is it simply just to come in and just, stand on the feet, avoid any takedowns?
The way I see it is, at the end of the day, you got to take what's given to you, and you got to fight to your ability. I believe that the reason why the last fight didn't go my way, obviously, of course, Jimmy Crute's an amazing fighter, but I didn't fight the way that I know I can fight, and it's really. I've really don't think I've been able to do that in my last couple of fights. And, now I'm fighting on the world stage. Now's the time to really bring it out and show it out to the world. And, I've got so many tools that I have to use, like in my training and everything like that, that I see that are, that are at my grasp. And, I haven't seemed to really let it out. And obviously the main reason was because I had to try and defend takedowns. So, I was a little bit more hesitant, but this time around, I'm not going to be hesitant whatsoever. So whatever is thrown at me, I'll be prepared. Like I say, I'm a very well versed athlete. Some people say, oh, he hasn't got any wrestling, he's got no jiu-jitsu. I'm like, just you guys wait. You have not even seen that side of my game. That's why you're quick to say that. But there's things that I want to bring into this fight, but I can expect a very explosive and aggressive fight from the get-go. And like I say, we're just going to clash right in the middle. And then whatever's given to me from Michal's sort of game plan and stuff like that, I'll take it head on and overcome it.
It's interesting that you brought that up, that they're just seeing you up as a stand-up fighter. Coming from a kickboxing background, they're expecting you to have no jiu-jitsu, but typically when it's kind of a good thing when they start to bring out these so-called reasons why you're not a complete fighter, because you've never had to depend on those skills in a fight because the kickboxing has been enough.
Yeah, exactly. And, I've been able to stop takedowns and get to my feet. Like if people would question where the jiu-jitsu is, it's like, okay, I haven't got many submission victories, but at the end of the day, it takes a lot of understanding of wrestling and jiu-jitsu just to be able to get up off the floor from those particular positions, and to be able to get back to my feet and get back to where I'm, most dangerous. But I'd say, I'm pretty dangerous in all areas. Like I said, I feel very confident in all my skill sets. And yeah, I can't wait to get into those situations and show that I'm a complete fighter and put on an absolutely complete and dominant performance. That's what I'm looking to do. Like I say, I'll take whatever's given to me, but obviously my bread and butter is the striking. So, that would be something I'll look to utilize the most. But in an MMA fight, you take what's given to you, and I'm confident that I can do whatever is thrown at me.
So with your last fight with Crute, you were saying that the range was a bit weird, and you mentioned Coach Kavanagh's kind of philosophy: you win or you learn. It's not to take it as a loss, that there's a lot of things that you can take from that fight. What was something that you learnt in that fight that obviously you seem quite motivated? It's obviously motivated you 2 steps forwards for this next fight.
Yeah, no, 100%. It motivated me just to sort of look at a bit of an old school approach in that fight. He did an excellent job. He had the correct game plan and strategy used to beat me, and he'd been watching my tapes and he's seen my tendencies, and he used those tendencies against me, which from a high level fighter, that's just sort of what you'd expect. You know what I mean? So the things that I'd been working on, that things that I'd been doing was all very defense orientated, and yeah, it worked. So I stopped his takedown. So defense wise, it was great. But then we in terms of the range and in the striking, I was trying to wanting to keep things more at range, but I wasn't throwing or doing anything that I know I can do. And before I could even get a chance, it's like I needed to get like a round to sort of get warmed up before I would get into the second round, and then really be able to show off more the striking. So there's a lot of things that I've taken from the fight. It was I think it was pretty harsh to take head on for, like at the beginning, because you want things to go a certain way. You've been visualizing certain things, and it doesn't go your way. Obviously, it's quite upsetting. But at the end of the day, you got to keep moving forward. And like I said, I come out there unscathed, and all I needed to do was try and figure out where I went wrong. And realistically, it wasn't for a lack of skill. It was for a lack of certain things that. One thing I'm introducing is doing a bit more boxing sparring, just to get the aggression. I feel like I'd been talking leading up to that fight that I'd been missing aggression, and then I had it, but it was almost like I'd sort of slipped back into not having it again. So now I'm sort of really bringing that back, really getting that mindset. If I fight with an aggressive mindset, with a mindset that I'm going in there to put pain on this person, that's when I perform the best. So that's something I've 100% been working on to try and bring it into the fight. And yeah, it's just to be myself. I think when you got the bright lights on you and stuff like that, obviously you don't want to make mistakes and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, my dad wants me, who's my main coach, he wants me to show out my best abilities and not care, and just sort of just do it, because at the end of the day, if these things land, that's what's going to be spectacular. And that's what I'm bringing out again. I'm going to throw more and more my flashy things. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go trying to get into a fight more. I watch guys like Dustin Poirier and stuff like that, and I'm like, I can fight those type of fights. It's a case of, I think the thing that really motivates me is the fact that you're going to look back at your career, and you're going to look at your highlights. You want an absolute insane highlight reel. You want like fights that are memorable. You want people to remember you for something. And I want to be that guy that gets remembered. And obviously I've got loads of high goals and stuff like that. So yeah, man, I would say mainly the thing was to improve the mindset, to get it ready to go and do damage to people, and to bring out my old school flair, and worry a bit more about offense as opposed to defense. I've had a very defensive mindset for the most part, especially in those fights where I'm fighting top level wrestlers. I'm like, okay, I've got to defend and be able to get back up to my feet, because then that's where I'm good. Well, I can't think like that anymore. Now my defense, it's good that I had to work that particular area, because that means that it's gotten up to scratch, and now all I have to do is just keep tabs on it to make sure that it stays at that level, and just keep topping up on it. But really, I've been working a hell of a lot on my own offense in every aspect. So like I say, you can expect a very offensive attack coming in my next fight.
I mean, it sounds like we're going to get another round one KO from you. So coming back to UFC 260, that's going to be an incredible fight, because, I mean, it's headlined by Stipe Miocic versus Francis Ngannou. That rematch is going to be incredible. And we've got Alexander Volkanovski defending his featherweight title against Brian Ortega. I mean, you're no stranger to bright lights coming from Cage Warriors and being the light heavyweight champion there, but you must be happy that it's set on a card as huge as this, that your fight is set on a card this big.
Yeah, no doubt. It's my first pay-per-view card. So obviously that's an amazing thing, and that's an amazing step up in terms of just like viewership and people paying attention. When you're fighting with so many big names on the card, obviously it just puts more shine onto you. It's just more of an advantage for every other fighter that's on the card. So and obviously getting to see all these high level fighters is very inspiring and motivating for me myself. Getting to see those top level fighters, and it's just a massive opportunity to really show skill set, because more eyes are going to be on you. So it makes it even more exciting, the fact that, okay, I go out and put on a dominant performance, more people are going to be watching, and that's going to bring my stock up and stuff like that. Not just for me, but for every other fighter that's on that card. And yeah, just to be fighting alongside such big names, it's really quite an honor and a pleasure for me. And of course, it is nice to see Jimmy Crute fighting on that card also, going up against Johnny Walker. Obviously, I'm very interested to see that fight and some of the other fights. So yeah, it's going to be a great card and a great night.
Well, I just want to take a few steps back now. So you were born in Lithuania, but you fight out of England. It's noticeable because you've got the Lithuanian flag in one hand and you got the UK flag in the other. Is this how you got the nickname the Baltic Gladiator, or how did that nickname come about?
Well, do you know what? Funny enough, but it was all from idea. Like, I remember I would always ask on Instagram and say, "Oh yeah, what do you think my nickname would be?" And it's like they'll throw out a load of names, and some of them were good, some of them, but nothing really stuck. Like I wanted something different. I wanted something that no one else had. Like, you got loads of these different nicknames that are, acquired by, a couple of different people, or, something that's already been heard of, right? So you want to have something like, there's not too many guys called the Eagle or anything like that. So I wanted to have something that was completely different. So I remember there was this one podcast, they said they called me like the Slavic James Bond, and then someone corrected that and said, it's the Baltic James Bond, because obviously Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia are part of the Baltic Sea. So that's where the Baltic part comes from, not because I'm a cold guy or anything like that. I don't know. Obviously, that's, for some people, that's the slang they use in terms for cold, for meaning for cold. But yeah, so it's like three different countries by the Baltic Sea. So that's where the Baltic part comes from. And then yeah, like I remember one guy, one Lithuanian fan actually, he made like I had a post of me, in quite good shape and everything, and saying that I'm ready to fight. And then he made another photo, like a little edit, and he said, the gladiator from the Baltic states or something. And I was like, do you know what? That actually sounds, that has a pretty catchy ring to it. Do you know what? I'm gonna run with that. I'm gonna take that. And then the first time that the UFC gave me like a sheet to say what, like, how you'd like to be announced and stuff like that. For nickname, I just put the Baltic Gladiator. And then ever since, listen, whenever you got Bruce Buffer shouting out, Baltic Gladiator, you already know from that point onwards, that's it. Like, it's set in stone that there's no going back, and I'm very happy with it. But yeah, it's basically Gladiators. Like, obviously, I pick my stuff up all the time, and I'm going in for war no matter what it is. So I'm going out on my shield. And not only that, is that obviously from the Baltic states. So that's where the name sort of comes from.
I like it. It's different, and honestly, I can't think of anyone that's. I mean, there is like Gladiator and Spartas and things like that, but there's no one called the Baltic Gladiator. I'm surprised it's not one of those cliche assassin nicknames. There's always like the assassin baby. There's the silent assassin. It's always something to do like being a hitman or an assassin or something like that. I like that it's different.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, like I said, that's exactly the route I was trying to go down. I didn't want to copy anyone else's, and I wanted it to be, specifically uniquely for myself.
Yeah. So how is life in the UK? I understand that the UK, it's under a pretty harsh lockdown again. Is it pretty hard to train? Your gym must be closed at the moment? Is it just open for the elite fighters?
Yeah, so this is it. Yeah, so I'm quite lucky in the fact that, when it comes to training and stuff like that, I'm classed as an elite athlete, which is under the same category of like a Premier League football players who are allowed to train. And with the current guidelines and stuff like that, in terms of me training with a couple of training partners and a coach, everything's all good for me to be able to train. Obviously, it's unfortunate that no one else in the country can train, but then again, not everyone has to prepare for a big fight coming up in a couple of weeks. But yeah, so everything's been as normal. I've been adding particular different sessions that I need, that I wanted to focus on more of. But realistically, yeah, everything's going on as normal. So I've not I've not taken a back step really since the beginning of the year in terms of training. So yeah, everything's been looking very bright for me.
Good. Now, I want to take some time just to think about, how did you get into martial arts? How did martial arts become a component in your life? And how did you find your current gym, Ginter's Combat?
So my dad is my main coach. He's been my main influence for pretty much my whole of my martial arts career. He started teaching me kickboxing when I was 5. I started competing in British kickboxing tournaments and stuff like that, winning four national titles. So for me, that was sort of my gateway into it. And obviously, my dad, he was actually a no holds barred Soviet Union heavyweight champion. So he's a one tough motherfucker. So it's like, yeah, if I have to go and clean my room, like Mike Bisping, I think he said it on my debut. He said, yeah, if you have to go and clean your room, you have to go and clean your room. And yeah, there was literally no way around. I used to be scared of my dad for quite a long time, but obviously now we've got a completely different relationship. But yeah, he's taught me sambo at the beginning, kickboxing, and so he taught me the very early stages of MMA. And I sort of, obviously you get plunged straight into it, and I don't like using the word force, but yeah, I guess you could say I got sort of forced into it. So as a kid, you want to just play PlayStation or hang out with your friends, and the next thing you know, it's like, nah, you have to stay indoors and train. So I think I had a bit of a break away from it in terms of like fully competing, and I went to play basketball. I went to America for 2 years, and then when I came back home, my lifetime goal has always been to be a professional athlete. I've always wanted to compete at the highest level at whatever chosen sport I do. So I'm obviously going all in of whatever I'm doing. So basketball didn't work out for me to get a scholarship to play in college. So what happens is my dad gives me a call and says, listen, Modestas, you've gotten extremely more athletic being out in America, and you've gained so many tools. Why don't you come back to MMA and give this your all and give this your last shot at fulfilling that dream? And I said, you know what, that's all I want to do, because I didn't want to do anything I didn't want to have an office job or anything like that. I wanted to be a professional athlete and do well off of it and be known as one of the best in the world. So I went back to MMA, and as soon as I went back home, that's all she wrote. We went straight to training with my dad when he had his gym open. And then it sort of just went off from there. And then gradually I started branching off into different places as well. So alongside training with my dad and him being my head coach and like my main strategist, I've got Danny Batten, who's also a massive help in my career. I've got Terry Dixon working with my boxing. I've had Hodger Gracie. So I've had a massive stable of amazing fighters. I've had Dennis and Sutherland helping me with my training. So I've just been blessed that I've always been around such amazing circles, and that everyone's been helping together to bring my skills to overall to be where I am today. But if you look at I'm going to be 26 and in 27 in just less than 2 weeks. And if you look at my progression from when my pro debut was when I was 21, like it's been an insane progression. Like I've made massive improvements, and like I say, it's all thanks to all my amazing coaches. So I'm very grateful. But the main influence to get me into MMA was my dad.
Yeah, I understand with your dad coming from that background, but have you always felt like you've been a decent athlete? It doesn't really matter the sport. It seems like with basketball, your height would make sense. I believe you're 6'3", but is there any other athletic background that you have that we might actually not know about?
Well, I mean, I played tennis for a little bit, but mainly it was the basketball, and I actually played American football out there as well. Having never played a down of football in my life, I actually started on the American football team, which was quite a shock to everyone, because they're thinking, how the hell does this English guy who doesn't know anything about American football, next thing you know, he's walking onto the field as a starting player. So that was quite a big deal. I mean, I've always been athletic. I've always been sports orientated, but I find to get to the elite level has always, like, of certain sports, you've got to have some sort of natural talent as well as I've never been shying away from hard work. I've always worked my arse off when it comes to improving myself for whatever sport I played. I think I've had a natural level of athleticism, but not to the point where it makes me anything outstanding. I've always been able to play sports, but I've never had like these, freakish skill set, like, sort of freakish attributes, like being able to jump high or run fast, or have really good coordination. So I've had to build a lot of things. I've had to get a lot of my attributes through a lot of hard work. So yeah, man, I'd say I am a natural athlete, but I'm more gifted at certain things than others. And I think over the last couple of years, I've definitely made the biggest progression in my MMA career. It seems like I can pick things up quite easily. So clearly, the biggest talent I have is for martial arts.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I wanted to talk about one of your greatest achievements so far, which was winning the Cage Warriors light heavyweight title. Tell me what that kind of felt like.
Um, it was surreal. I think is probably the main descriptive word I'll use for it. Like, no one expected me to win. I was like something like a 4-1 underdog. I mean, I even told all my friends, bet on me, I will win you some money. And I think I made a couple of them like 200 quid or something on that fight for betting on me. But I just loved it because I was counted out. So I've been dreaming and visualizing the whole time that, I was going to win. And, I've even got a little poster in the corner with like pictures of me and John Jones and stuff like that. And then the Cage Warriors belt. And then I remember I went to see him at I think it was an expo in Birmingham. And then next thing I see John Jones, and he recognized me straight away. And then, we got to talking, and then he signed that piece of paper, and I actually have it framed up. Because I use that just as part of my visualization, the Cage Warriors belt alongside all those things, and having John Jones sign it, and then I'll just be looking at it every day. So it was almost like, you sort of, everything that I'd visualized had come true, and that was what the surreal part was. I'd imagine that I'd have the belt wrapped around my waist. So I imagine having it, me walking around with it, and me going to my friends and family afterwards, everyone being so proud and supportive, and it was mad, like, because I'd never gotten that much attention in my MMA career ever, and the fact that everyone thought, oh, but this is going to get run over, that no one even, they thought, oh, judging by the fight that I had beforehand, oh, well, he's probably going to get taken down and mauled. And it's just like, I knew that I had the skill set. I knew what I could do, but no one else did. So it's like, that was my time to show that, okay, I'm going to prove all you lot wrong. Like, do you know what I mean? And that gave me a bit of a chip on my shoulder. And then when it finally all happened, then that was sort of that was a moment in my career where I was like, everything's going to happen now. Like, this is it. I can defend my title and then go to the UFC. Everything is being realized. So it was probably one of the best moments of my career, just because of how I felt afterwards, because it felt like I just literally reached the mountaintop of Everest or something. Like, I something that seemed so far away was actually like quite close. Was right there, sitting in the palm of my hand. And even just driving, I'd visualize like sort of the belt sitting on the seat next to me, and then that happened the next day. So obviously when I'm going to flash it and show it off to all my friends and stuff like that. But it was it was a very big moment for me, and it was just a sign of what was to come, and it showed me that my dream would definitely be realized.
I mean, it's cool that you did the visualization aspect right before the fight. I'm assuming you did that beforehand anyway, just winning fights and having your hand raised. But are you continuing to do that now? Now that you've moved on into the UFC, now do you do the exact same thing now?
Yeah, 100%. I've definitely been utilizing it, even more so, to be honest with you, because before, like, I think in my debut, I still utilize it, but you didn't utilize it as much. And in the second fight after that, I utilize it, but again, not as much. I think you have to really think, breathe, and smell, and everything you do is linked towards whatever it is that you want. And I've definitely been doing that a hell of a lot more. Been visualizing a lot more, like sort of progressing every single day, thinking about the things that I'm going to do and stuff like that, and really feeling it, having those emotions and everything like that. It's a big part of the game, and it will get you more prepared for what's going to happen inside the cage. And I definitely still use it to this day. And obviously, I advise anyone who's doing anything big in their life to just keep visualizing, keep dreaming, and keep moving forward.
Yeah, brilliant message. Now, I wanted to talk about, because you're obviously moving up through the light heavyweight division. We're going to have a really interesting light heavyweight fight in a very, 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 very soon amount of time. We're going to have Izzy moving up from middleweight, from the middleweight championship, and he's going to fight John Blachowicz. How do you see that matchup going?
In my, me being the European fighter, obviously, I'm definitely rooting for Jan Blachowicz to win that fight. But on the flip side, Izzy is one of my favorite fighters. So at the same time, it's a bit hard for me to pick between the two. But listen, Izzy's got very good timing, elusiveness, reactions, and stuff like that. So he would definitely be able to use that to his advantage. But there is no wrestling threat from him. From what it seems like he knows how to handle himself off his back, and he can defend takedowns quite well. But there's no wrestling threat. So maybe that will give Jan a bit more of a tactic to be able to get in on him and throw his big shots. And obviously, if you get hit with one of those big shots by Jan, it's not going to be a good day for you. So I think it's very interesting to see how the styles will collide, because one is like a bit more brute strength. He's got very, very good grappling, and he can take you down if he needs to. And then at the other side, you've got a very elusive, like great striker, good head movement, good just overall movement in general, good footwork. So it'll be an amazing clash of styles, and I can't wait to see obviously the outcome of that fight.
Now, I know you're interested to see the outcome. How do you think it's going to end up? Little prediction.
Do you know what prediction? Listen, if I've got to support the European man, and like I say, he's going to be the bigger man in there. So I'm gonna say Blachowicz. He'll win either by decision or by knockout.
Okay, great. Now, out of all of your fights, you've only gone to decision, I believe, once. I mean, you have such a high finish rate. Can we expect a very fast knockout in the fight against Michal? Because typically your KOs start, they usually occur in the first round, otherwise the second round. Are we expecting a pretty fast knockout?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see something happening very quickly within that fight. At the end of the day, you got to go into a fight and be obviously I'm fully expecting if I need to go the full 3 rounds, I will. But I'm always looking to finish. I'm always looking to finish. If there's an opportunity and I can smell it, I'm going to take it straight away. Same like Michal, he's pretty much exactly the same in terms of him wanting to go out and finish guys. But me, I'm going to be using his strengths against him to be able to put him away and use different things. Like I say, I've got all the skill sets needed to go out and dominate my opponents. So yeah, I'll be looking to finish straight away. I'm looking to bring back my flamboyant, flashy style. And that is going straight away from the get-go in the first round. So I know if I put everything on there on the line, I should be able to finish it in the first round. And that's what I'm going for, of course. But wherever the fight takes me, man, I'm always looking for the finish. But like I say, wherever the fight takes me, I'll go.
If it presents itself, you'll do it. Otherwise, you're good in all areas. Right. So there's been many big MMA stars that have made their name under the Cage Warriors banner. Conor McGregor, Michael Bisping, Dan Hardy, Gegard Mousasi. As the former Cage Warriors light heavyweight champion, are you expecting to have a very short climb to the light heavyweight strap?
Well, I mean, Michal's, I think, ranked 22nd, so a win over him will definitely push me up in the rankings. At the end of the day, I'm gonna take it fight by fight. Um, Obviously, yeah, there's a bit more prestige when you got a former Cage Warriors champion coming into the mix, and obviously it projects fighters a lot more, especially if they keep winning. At the end of the day, in the UFC, if you keep winning, you're likable, you're marketable. You'll go places. I think it doesn't really matter who you are, as long as you go out, you perform, you show your skill set. Like I say, you're well spoken, and you're able. Well, people like you, and people want to see you fight. That's the main thing. That's what's going to get you loads of fights. So I think obviously running down in the lineage of all the other former Cage Warriors champions is an amazing thing, and it definitely adds towards my stock. But at the end of the day, it's up to me to go out and perform and to do the business, and that's exactly what I'm planning to do. So yeah, man. Every fight, I'll just take it fight by fight, work my way up the rankings. work my way up to the top 15, and then finally work my way up towards that light heavyweight belt.
Brilliant. Sounds like you've got it all sorted in your head. You're already visualizing it now. It's great to talk to you. I can't wait for your fight. Best of luck to you.
Oh, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you having me on the podcast. It means an absolute world to me. I love talking to you guys, and yeah, mate, I can't wait to put on an amazing performance for you all.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Nice one, brother. You too. Bye-bye.